Personnel privacy and safety. We've talked a bit about privacy. Is it okay to monitor, physically monitor, video monitor, eyeball monitor employees inside your organization? Yep, sure is. Sure is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? Most of the time, it's not a good idea. Most of the time, it's not a good idea, especially covert monitoring. Again, we really don't have a culture of allowing covert monitoring. We don't like the idea. Even if it's legal, we don't like the idea. We don't like the feeling of it. Anyone ever walked through an airport or a store or a public place where they're doing filming there, either for like filming a commercial or something like that? Happens in Vegas a lot. They capture B-roll of a given part of the strip or something like that. What do they do when that's going on? Even if you can't see the camera or the film crew, what do?
Got signs up usually.
They put huge signs up. They put them right there on the sidewalk. This area being monitored. Entering this area means you consent to allowing your image to be captured. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive, especially if it's being used for commercial purposes, because what do you own? What copyright do you have to yourself? It's called likeness rights. You own your face. You own the way you look. Yeah. If you are going to implement covert monitoring, if you're going to monitor people without them knowing it, which again is legal in your workplace, make sure you get all of these things from senior management and that it's finite. And that they've agreed to covert monitoring early in their employment contract. That helps takes the curse off it later. Overt monitoring. Banners. Banners. The courts have said time and again, a banner is sufficient for notification. Even though people click on it instantly. They just click OK. Nobody ever says, no, I don't agree to that. No. As it becomes more pervasive, we're becoming a little bit more used to it. That's the good book answer. I think the real answer is we've started to ignore banners altogether. In their employment agreement, again, they should be offering consent. That often doesn't always stand up. Some state laws come down and favor the employees because the employer has undue influence at time of hiring. There's a power disparity there. The employer has all the money, all the control, has the job. All the person has is themselves. So often when it comes time to enforcing these things, making somebody sign when they're hired doesn't hold up as strongly as in other forms of contracts or negotiations. Yeah. Good. What's a duress system? What's a duress system? Anyone ever work somewhere where they had a duress system?
You mean like a man-down system? We had one of them at one place. Like if they didn't move for so long, it would say man down.
Really? Mm-hmm. I think that's a little different. That's a more of a safety thing. And who's that for? That's for your...
Yeah, it was at a different job, but it was a person would be watching lines like in a manufacturing environment, but he was by himself, so if something would happen, he might not be checked on for like an hour or so.
Oh, so it was a fail-safe for that person.
Mm-hmm. So like maybe if they would have a heart attack or something and get hurt, then it would signal a man down.
That's pretty cool. That's like I've fallen and I can't get up kind of thing.
Basically.
Yeah. All right. Duress is a little bit different. Duress is for someone has a gun to my head. What's that?
Silent alarm.
Silent alarm. Banks are the standard. It's a foot pedal, so you can keep your hands observable and click, boom, I've let them know what it is. I've worked in some military environments where they have that, where you trigger it and law enforcement calls you instantly and says, is everything okay? And if you don't pass the right authentication code, they have kids with M16s waiting outside the door to make you and everybody else come outside. That's pretty impressive, pretty impressive. 3 broad functions, different ways of handling these messages. They want somebody to respond. They want you to have somebody take care of whatever the duress for is, right? Traveling, personnel safety during travel. There are some places on this planet where companies are not demonstrating due diligence without training their personnel how to behave while kidnapped. While kidnapped. Anyone think of employers who pay for kidnap insurance? Anyone think of places they might go? Where's kidnapping in the industry?
Mexico.
Mexico. Huge. Huge. Where else?
I was thinking in terms of industries. I would imagine that like media and stuff like that.
Media is huge. I heard an interview with somebody who actually ended up kidnapped from one of the news agencies. I'm trying to remember which one. I think it was a newspaper. They do. They go out to meet sources, and they end up being kidnapped by those very sources. Petroleum industry. Those people are always going to places that are dodgy. South America is another place. What did they used to say? Anybody know the difference between what they used to say for kidnapping victims and now what they're training you to do? They used to say, try to get away within the time you're being kidnapped. The first 5 minutes is your best window for getting away. Yell, scream, shout, run, fight, do whatever you can, get away. They don't want to cause a scene there. What do they say now for kidnapping?
Sit down, shut up, and go with them.
Yes. Do not resist. Don't make eye contact. Don't do anything they don't tell you to do. Be very, very compliant. They also say, don't talk about money. Don't tell anyone you have kidnapping insurance. All right? Give room for the negotiators to negotiate. They want to get you back, you know? The insurers are really good about that. They don't want to pay off, so they want to get you back, right? Good. That's not everywhere, of course. If you're sending people to Omaha, you only have to give them about half that training. Good. You might want to tell them the security aspects of personal travel. What are the risks that they're going to entail? What should they look for? What kind of countermeasures can they put in place? Good. Questions about any of those things? Fire. We talked about fire. Fire. We talked about the threat. We talked about some ways of combating it. Smoke detectors, different forms. Optical, seeing the particulates, right? And ionization, actually using power in the air. Flame detectors. Anyone ever worked in an area that had flame detectors? I have not. Seems like a lot of high technology for what could be a very low technology detection system, something that would probably be more cost effective. But they exist, I guess. And heat detectors, also known as thermometers. Anyone ever worked in this kind of environment? I've seen that. I have seen that, where if there's rapid onset, especially in like a server room, that's some place that is detected, because sometimes that can be more a factor of the operation than a fire. It's not necessarily that something is actually being torched, that it's just the HVAC is down, and you want to know about that as well. Fire suppression. We talk about the difference between wet and dry pipe. Is the water in the pipe before the alarm is detected, or do you keep it dry until you have the alarm and then it fills up? Why would you not want the water in the pipe? Don't you want it ready to go? Do you want to have to worry about one more thing to fail right before the fire burns down your building?
False positive in a data center.
Yeah. You don't want a leak in that pipe, you know? You don't want one of those sprinkler heads to malfunction. Absolutely. Good. And gas. We talked a little bit about gas. Andy pointed out the fact that halon's good for suppressing the fire, but it also suppresses human life, right? Not the best thing.
It's actually not the reason why it's not really used anymore. It's because it's a CFC.
Oh, okay. Well, good. We can kill our own personnel, but harming Mother Earth would be a bad thing, right? Yeah. Yes, some greenhouse gases, right? Good. Anyone work in an environment with Aero-K? Aerosolized potassium? I have not seen that before. FM200 I've seen. What's the downside to FM200? It's expensive. It's expensive. Good. In your data, in your server rooms, in your data centers, you want to have an UPS, that uninterruptible power supply. Again, they last just long enough for you to go into a graceful shutdown state, right? Generator, do you want it co-located with your server farm? No, keep it away. It's got fumes, it's got gasoline, keep it away. You want it connected and you want a good, secure connection, but you want it somewhere else. Diesel. There are some gasoline ones, those are usually typically smaller and those are more residential. What's your HVAC? What is HVAC? What does it stand for? Not a trick question.
Heat, ventilation, air conditioning.
Good. Heat, ventilation, air conditioning. It's the big ducts that Tom Cruise and Bruce Willis are going to crawl through when they want to break into your systems, right? Good. Why are we concerned about that, especially in a data center? Why are we concerned about that in a server farm? I mentioned it just briefly earlier.
They have lots of heat.
Lots of heat. They generate lots of heat. Can these things actually melt? Yeah, you got to keep them cool. You really do. And water. We talked about that again. If the pipes burst, if you have a flood, yeah, good. Can you have a raised floor in the data center, in your server room, to keep these things from getting wet if there is a flood?
Yeah, but that's not what they're for.
No, it's not. It's where all the cabling is going to go. But where should that raised floor start if it's a secure facility?
It should start at that room.
At the wall. At the wall. Shouldn't be, the wall shouldn't start from that raised floor. Good. Excellent.